Design Manager, in this context, what we care about is master pages, but it can also be used to not just build master pages, but it can also be used to build page layouts, and it also helps with themes. But in this case, one of the things that's really powerful with it is that it will take a standard HTML page and turn it into a master page. And the way it does it is actually it's pretty elegant. You can upload an HTML page into the master page gallery, and then it will actually preserve the HTML page and create a master page from that, and then it'll create a connection between the HTML file and the master page, and then it'll synchronize those changes. So it will add some metadata to the HTML file, but it's not like visible when you're editing the file. It doesn't get rendered, and it's used to help the synchronization between the HTML file and the newly created master page in SharePoint. So the thing that's really powerful about this is you can use any HTML editor that you want. So if people out there are using Dreamweaver, a lot of people like using Dreamweaver, they can continue using that, and as long as they can upload their HTML files, their images, everything into the design gallery, then they can go ahead and use that tool, and SharePoint will still create the master page for them. The important thing though is that the files have to live in the master page gallery. Now, something else that's important is what you can do is once you get your files in the master page gallery, you can actually map a network drive to the master page gallery. So if you're used to working in Notepad or Dreamweaver or whatever you want to edit your HTML pages in, then you can continue using that tool even after the page has already been converted into a master page. And then when you save it, SharePoint will have it has a listener basically listening for changes to that file, and then it'll synchronize it back to that master page. So you have some pretty powerful tools built in there. And then the other thing that's really nice about it is it can create a WSP file, Windows Solution Package, WSP design package for the deployment. So if you want to, let's say for example you're creating this master page and you're working in the dev environment and you like how it looks, then you can package that up. You actually don't need to give it to anybody because it's a sandbox solution package that you can just upload into another site collection on another environment, in your production environment or staging or testing or whatever. You can just upload that and deploy that. So it gives you some nice ways to deploy this instead of before. The downside with using SharePoint Designer for master pages is that you're actually storing the content directly in the SharePoint content database, and so if you wanted to try to take what you've done to a site in SharePoint Designer and transfer it to another site, if you weren't a developer and you didn't have Visual Studio, you'd have to go get one and then you'd have to have that developer basically copy that file and create a solution package for you. Or if you couldn't find a developer, you'd basically have to do a backup of the content database and then restore it. And admins don't like doing that. That's not their favorite thing, and we're trying to get away from that stuff, especially in SharePoint 2013. We want to make things a lot easier to deploy, not as much reliance on SharePoint administrators as before in the past. So this is a really nice feature. To me, the thing I really like the best is that you're able to map those drives so you can continue working in your tool of choice and still produce great master pages. Also, another interesting feature that the Design Manager has is that it'll allow you can start right in the Design Manager itself and tell it to create your starter master page for you. So what that can do is that can actually it can give you that blank page with all of those placeholders already in there. So you don't have to go and grab a file like we just did in the past demo. You can have Design Manager build it for you. So we're going to take a look at creating a custom master page using Design Manager. In this demo, we're going to look at using the Design Manager to create master pages using just regular HTML files and images and CSS files. So the first thing we need to do is, well, let's open up Design Manager. So here's our site. The way you get to it is you go to Site Settings and then you go to Design Manager. And here you can see all the different options. We're interested in editing master pages. Actually, the first thing we want to do is upload design files. And so the first thing that is recommended is that you map a network drive to the master page gallery, so it makes it really easy to work with the design files. Because remember, you can edit the HTML file separate from the master page file, and SharePoint will take care of that synchronization for you. So what I've done is I've actually created that mapping already, and I have my Z drive here. So that's mapped directly to the master page gallery. What I want to do, I want to create a folder here so we can make this nice and clean. I'm going to call it, let's just call it Design Manager Demo. Okay, that looks good. Now I have, let's come back here. I actually have, there we go. I do have some files that I'm using. So I went to a website called templatebox.com, and it just has a bunch of free HTML site templates on there. So I just used that. I just picked one of them on there, and the content isn't really important. The important thing here is what we're going to do with it. So this is nice. I didn't have to design anything. I just found a quick template just so I can demo this feature in SharePoint. So here you can see this is just in the file system. There's an index.html with images and CSS. If I double click here, you can see it's just a real basic web page with some, link to some images with some CSS. So what we're going to do is we're going to upload these design files. Okay, so the way we can do that is I'm just going to copy these. So we have our mapped drive. So I'm going to slide down. I've copied all the sample pages here. Now I'm going to go to my map drive. I'm going to go into that folder that we just created and just copy everything in there. So it's nice and easy. That's why you map the drive here to the master page gallery. Now the thing that's also pretty cool here is that once you've already converted a web page, this index.html, and SharePoint's created a master page, you can go back and edit that HTML page and add in HTML that you want using whatever tool you want. If you want to use Dreamweaver, Visual Studio, Notepad, you can do that, and then once it's saved, then it will get synchronized. Okay, so we got our files there. I'm going to go back to the site. I'm going to edit master pages. Notice that our master page is not showing up there. So we need to convert that HTML file that we uploaded into the master page gallery. We need to convert that file into a SharePoint master page. So this is letting us choose the file. So here's the file that we care about, and I'm going to say insert. Takes a little while. It should appear. Okay, that's pretty quickly actually. The conversion was successful. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and publish it, because right now, if we go into site settings, let's just do this. Let's go to site settings and go to master page. It's not going to show up. So what we need to do, we'll come back to Design Manager, edit master pages, and we just need to tell SharePoint to publish this page for us. So we need to publish a major version. Say OK. Now it's important to remember to do this here. Don't go directly into the master page gallery and start clicking on files and publish them. You'll get errors. It won't work. You need to do it from here because SharePoint needs to start from here in order to do all of its synchronization logic that it's using. So it's here is where it adds some markup to the index file, the HTML file that it gets used during the synchronization for the master page. So now if we go to site settings and we go to master page, we can see our master page is there. And also, let's go to site settings and go to master page gallery. And let's go into our folder. And notice how it also created index.master. Don't touch this file. You don't want to mess with this unless you want to break up the synchronization and just work directly on this. But if you're going to be working on the HTML file, then don't touch this, because this is what SharePoint creates automatically for you. You can make the changes on the HTML file, no problem. You can add images, take away images, do whatever you want to the CSS, and then just make sure you publish the file again. In fact, if you're going to do any of that stuff, I would recommend checking this out, even if you're doing steps to the CSS, and then that way you can go back in and publish it, and it'll publish everything underneath it. So you can see, oh, that's not published. I guess that we did need to publish that. I didn't have that published, but that's okay. For demo purposes, it's okay. So anyway, the main thing is that this got created. So now, let's go back into the site settings. Let's pick the new master page that we imported. Say okay. Now it's only going to, we just set it to be the custom master page, so it has to use a publishing page. So I'm going to click on the publishing page, and voila, here is our page in SharePoint. Now it doesn't have any of the cool stuff in it. All it has is just a little bit of Chrome, just this stuff up here, and then here's our, the placeholder main is right there. So you probably would want to change that and move that in there. So when you go to edit, let's go back to, I'm just going to change it back. Let's go back to DesignManager. Edit master pages. So this is going to take us into the preview, and here if there's a menu, call it here for snippets, which is I'm just going to call it the Snippet Manager. And if you click here, it's going to open up a new page, and it has snippets for all the different major pieces, or major placeholders, I guess you would say, what we've been just talking about before. Placeholders of things like top navigation. So right now, top navigation has been selected, and so if we copy this to the clipboard, we can put top navigation into our file. So this is just adding a div with a bunch of markup. It's special markup that it's going to get injected into the master page when the synchronization happens. So you can do, we can copy this to the clipboard, and then if we wanted to, we could open this up with Notepad. And you can see there's a bunch of stuff that's been added here. And let's see here. This looks like a good place too. You probably wouldn't want to rearrange a lot of this stuff, but I'm just going to In fact, I think what I want to do, let's just edit this in Visual Studio. So I can come and take a look. I think this table right here is the one that is the containing all of the images, I believe, but I'm not sure. Maybe not, maybe not. No, it's just this row. Yeah, so you know what might be easier is to just, I just want to demonstrate putting a snippet in here, so let me just go ahead and, okay, here's our body. Okay, body container. I'll just go ahead and throw it here. I don't know how this is going to look. I haven't tried it. Just want to demonstrate that you can put these snippets in there, so that should put the top navigation in. And maybe what I'll do is I'll just get rid of this row that has, looks like this row, this table row is containing the top navigation. Yeah, so let me delete this row. Actually, I'll just comment it out. I'll save that. So it's actually saving into the master page gallery right now. So I'm going to go back. Let me get out of here. Okay, I don't really care about that. I'm going to go back and go into DesignManager again. Oops. Go edit master pages. Check it out. Check it in. We want major version. We're going to publish it. So let's see what happens. I haven't tried this, so let's take a look. Okay, I'm going to go back into, well, actually let's preview it. So yeah, I actually added the top nav right here. Okay, so I'm going to go back into site settings. Let's change the master page again. Change it for the custom master URL, and then we'll go to our publishing page here to test it. Sure enough, we have our top nav right here, and that takes us right back. So we can do that. So the big takeaway here is that you can create master pages by just doing regular HTML. So if you have designers that are really good at HTML and CSS and images, you can let them work on that stuff, and then you can actually have them continue to work on it. They can upload, we can set up a network drive, put the files into SharePoint master page gallery, and then let the synchronization start happening. That's an option. There are probably going to be cases where somebody needs a lot of knowledge of the placeholders and that type of thing, so it may turn out to be a developer may be doing the snippets and putting in the placeholders, that type of thing. It just depends on what kind of site you're building, but it is an option now, so it is fairly interesting. And then You can also create design packages here, which I thought was pretty interesting. So if you want to take the master page that you've created and package it up and put it into another site, this is how you do it. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So that's the basics of using DesignManager to create master pages. It's a great idea, and it's not perfect yet, but I think in some cases it's going to be very useful.